All right, let me know if you guys can hear me. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly, and then we'll do what we do best. Hope you're all having an amazing Saturn day. It's great to be hanging out with you all. Got about 200 beautiful souls out of the gate. And I hope you're enjoying the visuals. This is a great question. What do you think of Paco de Lucia? One of the greatest guitar players of all time. A master. I don't know anything about the individual though. I haven't really studied much into him as a person. I haven't watched any of his interviews. I haven't gone too deep into the life of Paco. But as a musician, honoring another musician, I could only speak to that as a musician. He's one of the best. And an incredibly difficult style, by the way. Like, inarguably very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. And for anyone who doesn't know, Paco de Lucia is a guitar player. And we're just going to give this a couple minutes so that these notifications can go out and that everyone can join in. Sometimes it takes about 5-10 minutes or so after the live starts. Appreciate you guys. Verhoofdy, sending you lots of love. Of course, we all appreciate your name. Very, very few will understand this line right here. Shout out to Daylight, one of the greats. Shout out to Daylight. I feel like that would probably be one of the coolest podcasts of all time if me and Daylight could get on a podcast together. Just imagine all the directions that would go. It'd be so lit. Also, feel free to let me know if my mic is a little bit too loud. I think I got it about as high as I can go without getting clipping. Yeah, we just started. Giving it a couple minutes, letting some people join in. Eddie, Machete, hope you're doing amazing. Daily Candle Close News, hope you're doing amazing, brother. Appreciate you. Adam Arias, hope you are doing well. You and the fam. Appreciate you and Sarah. We're getting a lot of May the 4ths be with you. You know, I haven't actually taken too much time to check out the Star Wars series. I watched, the first couple, but I haven't dug too deep. Although I believe there's a lot of truth being revealed. There's a lot of stuff being revealed, but funny enough, in my decoding mastermind course, I have a couple sections on Star Wars. And this archetype of Darth Vader, Anakin, and Luke Skywalker, and getting into some of the stuff that are the common themes you get throughout Hollywood. It was just fun to decode some of those pop culture, you know, moments that we're all aware of. Whether you watched those movies or didn't, you know about those iconic, scenes. One moment, everyone. Okay. Yeah, but I haven't checked out enough Star Wars movies to consider myself a full-blown nerd. Shout out to all the nerds out there. You're loved. You're loved around these parts. We appreciate you. Whether you're a complete nerd collecting Star Wars action figures or you're freestyling in the booth somewhere in the slums of New York, Waters Above loves you. As long as you're doing, as long as you're being, as long as you're taking action, as long as you're creating something, or are passionate about something, which are two missing things in the world. Some people might ask, who cares about collecting? It's not about that. It's about having some passion and pouring prana into something that could be inspiring to you in some way. And I'll give a quick example. When me as a creative person, although I'm not into fashion, I'm not into fashion so deeply, but I am interested in it. I'm interested in it as an art form, although I haven't taken the time to dive into it as deep as something like with the esoterica that we're talking about on the channel, or things like health and wellness, or for instance music. But fashion as an art form, for instance, just to give an idea, well, if you watch the Star Wars movies, you'll see they're wearing some pretty wild stuff. It's creative, it's interesting, and it's futuristic. So right there, you could be inspired just by watching that movie, and it could lead to so many other things. Something different. Of course, I'm just giving a very basic kind of example. Although, I mean, some of you are probably aware that all George Lucas was doing was copying all the stuff that the indigene were wearing. And that's a whole other route to go on the sidelines. But a lot of those hairdos, a lot of the hairstyles, a lot of the outfits they were wearing, those are from tribal peoples, Aborigine cultural aesthetic. So it's fascinating to see how perhaps it's all just on a cycle, and we're going back into that maybe more futuristic part of the cycle. But in the process, we're going to leave behind a lot of these things that we think are technologies today. Like, who knows what's next for technology, right? Because when you watch a Star Wars movie, you see them with these hovering cars and they have lightsabers. And it's like, we don't have guns that are shooting lasers just yet. Or maybe we do. I mean, I'm sure we do. I'm sure the government, military, at some very compartmentalized level, of course they have that type of stuff. They never let us see it. They're never going to get it to the soul dyers of, the common soul dyer. But you can watch those movies, and what are they, 30, 40 years? Some of them are pretty damn old by now. And it's showing you a futuristic world that is, for us, seemingly incomprehensible, especially at that time. But then you think about where we're at now, and it very much feels like we're on the cusp of having some technologies such as hovercrafts or laser weapons. I mean, they have these things on a very large scale. We know that when it comes to laser tech and these energy weapons. But you've yet to see a handheld pistol shooting out lasers. That'll be the day. All right, we got about 300 people with us. Getting some questions, some things being brought up. Get around to as much as we can for the next hour and a half or so. So we're just kicking things off. George says authenticity is rare nowadays. You are appreciated. The same since day one. Well, a lot of people were worried about that with me. They thought that somehow over time, as the channel grew, that I would become something, more censored and not as spicy. I can't blame people for feeling that way because we've watched a lot of fallen heroes. But I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to go down that lane. I think it's important we stay honorable here. But yeah, I feel like for me over the past 3 years, I've just been turning up the spice level more and more. But you got to remember, from the beginning on this channel, we were talking about some stuff that, like, I mean, what are the key topics that we've discussed that I know most people are not going to accept, or they're not going to be able to comprehend easily without a little bit of their digestion being disrupted, like a stomach ache. They're like, oh, I can't believe he just said that. Europa, the Last Battle, is probably one of the key, first things I talked about on this channel that I talk about probably at least every couple months. Somebody's asking me a question about why is the world the way that it is, Waters? Why is the world like this? It's simple. It's Zionism. That's why the world is like this. And also, I'll give you another one. It's because we, the people, the populace, have damaged egos. That's as simple as it is. We have damaged egos. We've become too obedient, too trusting, too willing to just go with the flow of the terms and conditions that were set for you by Daddy Zion. And on top of that, we believe that his story that they gave us, we believe science is saving lives and can do no harm. We believe in everything about outer space and space exploration and rovers landing on Mars. I'll tell you where the rover landed. It landed exactly where you see this drone flying right now. That's Hollywood Mars, everyone. Welcome to another day in the Matrix. It is not a ball rock floating in the sky. Just use a better zoom and you could see it for yourself. It's not a rock. It's a luminary. It is a dancing ball of light. We're talking about Mars, by the way. But the rover seems to be landing perfectly on some solid ground that looks identical to the middle of Utah. What's another topic we like to talk about? Oh, the boule. Talked a lot about the boule. That's not comfortable. Everyone's wondering, they're like, what is going on with P. Diddy? What's going on with Jay-Z? What's going on with Beyonce? It's the boule? We're only, 18 minutes into this? Stomachs are already churning butter already. They're like, but they're all trafficking. It's like, you want to know why they're trafficking? Because they were trafficked. And it just is what it is. So, George, the reason why I'm authentic is because I'm aware of the spiritual economy. I'm aware that there is an economy beyond just money in this matrix. There's a cosmic economy. And that's where your soul is. It's where your soul is tethered to. And every time you go against your truth and your honor code and your morals, and you bend and become malleable to whatever the system desires out of you, against your own purpose that you set and you're aware of, that's what selling your soul is. Like the money is just one piece and it's just energy at the end of the day. That's all money is. I call money thoughts. Money is just thoughts. It's Thoth. Thoth is Hermes, Mercury, merchandise. It's thoughts. It's literally your imagination. But that imagination generates from a different place that has nothing to do with dollars and coins and gold and Bitcoin and currencies. It's something that's within us. It will always be within you. And the only time it leaves you is when you allow it to. And the only time it leaves you is when you are going against your truth and your purpose. And you've allowed your ego to become damaged so that you could become a puppet on the strings of some other person who profits off of you looking at them as a prophet. That's why it's the same word. So stop idolizing some other being and start going inward. That's where your truth is. That's where it's the source of all. Okay. So Drone, I appreciate you. Sending lots of love. Got a lot of comments coming in. I hope you guys are doing amazing. I already shared all my in-depth analysis on the markets in my last video that I put out. It was very well timed because it was on May 1st. The market was already getting hit pretty heavy. I've been warning about the exact price we went to and this bounce that we're getting. I've discussed that in the video as well. So please just rewatch my last video. It's free, available on YouTube. Take time out of your day, take notes. It's packed full of gnosis. And if you want even more information about what's going on, I do have this very special Red Pill podcast coming out tomorrow over on patreon.com/watersabove. I call it special because it's going to be the What I'm Investing In Part 4. So it's an ongoing series where I will be going over every single altcoin that I personally invest in. I will be going over my portfolio. I won't be spending so much time talking about the decoding side of things because I've already prepped everyone so well with this upcoming full moon and the fact that we have been talking about this month of May nonstop for 2 months now. So I just want to focus this next podcast onto specifically what I'm investing in. I'm going to be going on over 15 charts, probably more by now. Yeah, it's probably going to be like 20 something charts because I added 10 new venture capital positions to my bag back on, what was it, April 13th, the day that we had that Iran drone strike in Israel. So I was DCAing there. I accumulated enough to the point where I'm not really concerned what the market does next. And you guys are well aware that I've already been fully positioned in this market since probably November of last year. So most of my buying was finalized by October, November, around that last solar eclipse in October 2023. Now, I de-risked some Bitcoin in 2 key positions. And I'm just saying all this now so that we can move on because we try to do something different in these live streams. And I already made a generously long video packed full of a lot of information. So you could go watch that. But, anyways, I de risked my Bitcoin position in two key levels, this 47 and 54 level. And then I rolled over all of that into these altcoins back on April 13th. So I really don't care what the market does next. But it's important that I review everything that I have invested in this upcoming podcast tomorrow because it's a cool way of kind of comparing my last analysis from the what I'm investing in part 3. I gave all the levels that we watched all those altcoins come back down to. So for anyone that was a part of the Patreon going back about 2.5 months ago, you got all of these DCA opportunities, all of these levels pretty much perfectly. And you didn't FOMO in the top a couple weeks ago because that was what I was trying to prevent. There was way too much of this FOMO energy going on in February and March, and I wasn't falling for that mess. So the last what I'm investing in special, I talked about some of these downside targets to consider, and we've pretty much gotten it all on so many projects, and the TA lessons were applicable across the board. So it could have been involved, you could have been involved in projects that aren't those coins, but the market sort of moves in synchronicity. It's like a symphony, if you will. Anyways, tomorrow I will be going over all of that in the new Red Pill podcast. It'll be available around this time tomorrow at Patreon in the Mastermind Community membership. The last month of Red Pills, anyone who's in our community can vouch for it, just how much value was in them because of that pullback that we got into May 1st. Like, I mean, over the past 2 months, it's been packed with value because of avoiding buying those insanely overbought top prices that a lot of people were FOMOing into. And then we watched stuff lose about 50 to 60% of its value just in 2-month time frame. And I warned about this, that seeing 40% mid-cycle corrections on an altcoin is not weird. It's normal, actually. So it doesn't matter if you're perfect at buying or selling the top or the low. It's not about that. It's about not falling for the market's shiny objects, because that is really what's making retail make a ton of awful decisions. So if you're in profits and you're selling, even if you quote unquote sell low, you still profited, okay? We need to realize this. On the other hand, if you're just jumping into something because it's exciting and it's in euphoria, well, the odds are it's probably already topping out as we speak. So stop doing that. And that was what the past 2 to 3 months on this channel has been about, like trying to get people to be a little less greedy about all of this. Like, don't be greedy when you're in profit, and don't be greedy to the downside too. This is all about managing that greed and fear and FOMO and FUD. It's really about having the stomach. You don't even need to be the best technical analyst or the best trader. I mean, technical trader is what I should say. Like, it doesn't really need to be that difficult. What makes you better at these markets is being calm about it and having a plan, having a strategy that's based in reality. And then once those two things combine with action, you're going to be flawless. It's going to be impossible to lose. Smoker Club asks a question about juice fasting and do you recommend when to start? Anytime you're feeling inflammation, anytime that you're feeling any sickness coming on, like in general, when you have lots of just like temperature swings, if you're getting too hot, too cold, you could have stuff going on with the thyroid, parathyroid. It's really just dependent on you, how you feel. Fasts should be used for a purpose. They should have utility. So if you're feeling mucusy, like lots of mucus, just maybe you have some pain in an area and you have no idea why you have it because you haven't gotten injured in the typical way, but you just have like some random chronic inflammation somewhere. could be an opportunity to fast. Of course, there's other things that could be done, right? But you asked the question of when do I recommend? Well, when you need it. I think most people, though, unfortunately, do kind of need to start learning about this stuff sooner than later. And the reason why I bring this up is because of the quality of foods that we have in our world and how they're not getting better in quality. Like, food is becoming more mass produced. Even organic is an absolute scam. And we've talked about that here many times. Another uncomfortable conversation to have, but remind yourself organic is a certification. That's all. You could have the best coffee company in the world, and you could be buying coffee from one of the best farms in the world, but the farm doesn't have enough money to pay for the certification of organic, according to the local jurisdiction of whatever food and drug administration your country has that you reside in, because that's another level of politics here with organic. And if either party doesn't have enough money to pay for this particular certification or to go through the certification, then it's not going to get that stamp organic. And then people wonder why, like Starbucks is able to get all this organic coffee. It's because they're a conglomerate. They have money. They can pay for these certifications even on dog shit coffee with dog shit farming practices, which are mostly mechanized anyways. But there's a loophole here because in, let's just say, America, it would have to have certain requirements, but if they're getting it from Ecuador, it doesn't need to. It's all politics. It's a certification. Don't get it twisted. You could have some of the highest quality biodynamic fruit, completely natural, same thing with vegetables, and it just doesn't have that certification. So, people will never know. And in the USA, it's really a sham because it's local, state level. I mean, it's endless. It's all politics. I'm not really sure how he went down this lane though, but it's kind of just to answer the general question about the fasting, and as the food quality gets worse, as people fall for more buzzwords, fasting is a tool. Use it, but don't let it use you. And I think that's important, and that's where I'll end this idea. A lot of people who get into fasting are just really excited about it, and then they get extreme. I myself went through this, so I know. Like, you're hearing it from somebody who's done many different forms of fasts over many different years and even timelines in my life. And I've gotten very extreme about almost everything that I do. So if you ever hear me nerding out about something, it's because I put I put 1,000,000% into the thing that I'm interested in. And I have a very good memory, but I also get obsessed with new ideas. I pour all my energy into these ideas. I take them to the limit, like I really push it as far as I can go. And then I try to see, like, what did I learn from all of that? And then I seek balance afterwards. But not everyone has that personality type. Some people, like, they can't do it like that. They get into stuff, and out of nowhere, they want to just like scream from the mountaintops that this is the best thing ever. You got to do this. And that's not how it works, man. Like, everyone's on a different phase of their journey. Everyone isn't ready to do what is best for you. They should be doing what is best for them. And that's why here with what we're doing, I'm not pushing any agendas. I'm not trying to make people think that I have some secret sauce, some magic way. It's not it. My superpower is being able to put myself through all of this stuff, be conscious and spiritual about it, and see like where it all sticks, and then ultimately how we could play with the mindset so that we can play the game instead of the game playing us. That's really my specialty. I'm not the best investor, I'm not the best trader, but I'm profitable. I have never not been. But to me, it doesn't matter about being perfect in a game that you're winning. It's the same thing with health. You know how many people that I've met or clients that I've had that have incredible physical health, but absolutely in shambles with mental health? They might have a six pack, but they feel lonely, depressed, lost. And if anything, they're using their physique as their only mechanism to sustain in this so called reality. So, what I've learned over time is like how to keep it balanced. My approach of getting into something is typically taking it to the extremes just to see where I fit into the balance of it all. Like, where does it resonate most with me? And that's my methodology, and that's what's worked. But with clients that I have and people that I work with, I would never do that unless I could sense that we have that similarity, that we share that. So, not everyone should be just jumping into a 20-day juice fast. But sometimes you'll hear people push this stuff and it's just dangerous. Like everyone is in a different place with it all. And there's a process that we should all fall in love with. I think that's important too. Fall in love with the process. Or I literally say this quite often: script the outcome, fall in love with the process. I'm just getting to some of these. One second. Dustin. Imagine getting robbed in Chicago by a nerd with a lightsaber. You know, if it wasn't like Comic Con, then I think that would be absolutely legendary. Just watching some random, like, walking around thinking that life is Star Wars, but also, like, has a chip on his shoulder and wants to rob somebody today. That's a that's that's a wild thought to have. Peter, thank you. I'm not sure. I'm getting these comments, man. You guys are funny. Andrew, oh, where is there terrible flooding? Let us know. Hope you're safe, by the way. Hope you and your family are doing well. That's what I'm talking about. Ooh, okay. You know what I'm about to say? I don't want it to come off as judgment, so I'm going to try to remove any politics from or any of this with this question from two trades. First and foremost, Joe Satriani is an incredible guitar player, talented. But you're asking me, and I'm going to share my truth on this. I am not as interested in technical guitar playing as much as I used to be. I need feeling. I need like emotion. And when I listen to like Steve Vai or Satriani or Ingve or Petrucci, these are all incredible. The guy from Polyphia. These are all great musicians. They're talented. But it's like it's just shredding, Like it's just shredding. And that's cool. That serves its purpose. Um but like if you listen to the dude from Dragon Force and then you listen to like Jimi Hendrix, you could see what I'm talking about. Like you don't need a shred, even though it's cool. Like, it sounds cool, I guess, but to me, it's so much about the flex of the shred, and it's not as much about, like, the soul behind the music. I think we need to feel more. And, so again, I honor Satriani as one of the greatest guitar players that ever lived, um, but I'm not influenced by him at all. I'm not influenced by that, personally. But whoever asked earlier about, like, Paco de Lucia, like, even though I'm not a flamenco player, I still rather listen to that. I rather go there. And it's not that I'm against electric guitar or anything, because I absolutely love I love me some, like, good technical players, as well. Like, the dudes over in Chan are really, really incredible. Eric and forgot his Mario, I think. I think they broke up, but they were one of the best examples, I feel, of something that was not only technical but creative and also made you feel and also kind of spanned some different genres. Like, it wasn't just metal. They started out as a metal band, but then if you look at where their last album ended, it was pretty cool. Although they started getting into some of this like dancey shit, which I didn't understand. Like, it seemed like they were just trying to fit into this like California thing. I don't know. I never met those guys. I never met Joe Satriani. Kind of, coming back to the me trying to be as void of the judgment as possible whilst honoring these people and still answer your question on where I sit on all that stuff. I can't even think of who my favorite guitar player is. I can't. It's a tough one. Also, any super chats, I will get around to those when I see them. Appreciate your support. Hope you're all having an amazing, amazing Saturn day. I'm not sure what you're asking. Death Metal Hippie Warrior 369. That's a hell of a name. Death Metal Hippie Warrior. Have you ever listened to Between the Buried and Me? They're awesome. I wouldn't necessarily call them death metal, but they have some of that going on. What advice would you give for a beginner person trainer? Are you asking about you starting to get into working out, like into the beginning phases of working out? If that's so, I would say less is more and have really quality workouts over quantity. So also get into like jump rope, get into rowing. If you have a rowing machine at your local gym, definitely jump rope is dope. And like maybe learn kettlebell stuff earlier. Like, I don't mess around with kettlebells enough. I would love to take like a year out of my life to master kettlebells and get more into them. Yeah. So I am now like I wouldn't say beating myself up over it, but I wish I cared about them more earlier. Okay. So that's just me. But yeah, less is more. Don't go to the gym like 7 days a week. Don't go to the gym 5 days a week. Start off with like 2 days a week for like 6 months. Master a couple of movements. Get really fucking good at doing a couple of things. And yeah, don't get too complicated. Truly. Like, you can have a really amazing physique just being a farmer, just fucking shoveling dirt all day and lifting up logs and cutting wood. I mean, you can get a big tire, like a monster truck tire, and you can just push that shit in your backyard if you have enough land. Like, you can get an incredible physique from just doing that, from like literally flipping a tire over and over again. If you think about it, you have to bend down into uh, essentially a deadlift position, then you have to deadlift it, then it's effectively sort of an overhead press to push it, depending on the size of the tire. I mean, just right there, you're doing so much. You're doing back, quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves, delts, lats. You're doing everything, biceps on the lift. You're doing everything and you're literally just doing one exercise. So I would say, like, if you were to master, if you had the land to do like just tire flipping and like hill sprints, and then throw in uh some jump rope for just like hand-eye coordination and keeping the mind sharp, which is another side of exercise that most people disregard. Like, get into the boxing style of doing jump rope, and then you have that mental game of getting into the footwork, and it's incredible for your lymphatic system because you're bouncing up and down a lot. Also, I teach all of this in my expansion mastermind course. So if you go over to watersabove.com, go over here to courses, and then it's going to pull up a little drop down menu. Sorry, I was showing the wrong screen, but if you go to watersabove.com, expansion mastermind, press this button, and then it will bring you to a tab where it'll tell you everything that's covered. Then you could scroll down to overview. You could click. Each drop down will tell you every single video and every single chapter. And what focuses mostly on the health and wellness side of things is chapter 7, part 1 and 2. So there's 15 videos in this Heal Thyself and 8 videos in Heal Thyself part 2. So a big chunk of this course is actually focused on your physical health and well-being. Comes with 88 video lessons. It's packed, absolutely packed. Yeah, Alexander, Creator Earth, shout out to God Give Lamst over on Rumble. He definitely was one of the first to push me to a place where it made me go, oh yeah, there was bound to be somebody out there that did this whole realm in and have a new take on this realm, and maybe not necessarily new, but just remembering, remembering something about this place. Like, okay, just for a moment, how do you say earth or world? How do you say world in Spanish? Mundo. How do you say it in French? Monde. M-O-N, like Monday is the moon day. Mundo. Our earth realm is the moon. It's a reflection. There is no outer space. We have a firmament dome above us, separating the waters above from the waters below. And this is also the exact replica of the way the human anatomy works and operates. So every part of this realm attaches back onto a part of self, body, anatomy. Joe Potter said, let go my ego, or the Humpty Dumpty was an egg. Think about it. Brad, I believe a lot of people share this sentiment. You said, I'm getting over the anger and disappointed of being lied to. Let's talk about this very quickly, and then we'll move on to a couple of these other follow-up questions. But like, I see this a lot, when people become illumined, when you light up, the enlightenment, as they call it. You know, when you wake up and you realize that you're already living in a zombie apocalypse and you're surrounded by a bunch of half alive beings that kind of just are waiting to find out, like, are you real? Are you alive? And then once they sniff you, they want to take a bite. So you have to work on two things simultaneously: how to avoid getting bit by a zombie, aka what some of you call NPCs, people that get triggered when you talk truth. Again, not my words. This is just what we've heard be said for semantics. And then on the other side of the coin, you have like the awareness of the so-called elite, or the apex predator, this nefarious group of powerful beings that have a bloodline that go back to Sumerian times, and they've been calculating each move on our world stage as if it's a grandmaster chess game. Yeah. And that could frustrate you because you're like, wait, I've been lied to. They, and it's like you have all this hate in you now because you've learned that it's all been deception and whatever. But on the other side, there's like, well, now you learn that the world is yours. And like, please hang out with me for a moment because I don't think a lot of people want to understand where I'm going with this. Like, here on this channel, Waters Above, we're not going to play the victim. It's not going to be boo-hoo, the New World Order is controlling everything and life sucks and I can't do anything about it. And I have to pay my taxes. To pay the taxes. It's like, grow the fuck up. Study the rules so you can learn how to break them without getting caught. You have a problem with taxes? Study the tax code. You have a problem with the food shortage? Fucking grow some, get a garden. Stop complaining. Since when was awareness and enlightenment just another excuse for you to bitch and moan all day? Like a Karen. Stop being a fucking Karen. Like, this is not judgment here. This is facts. Like, you're surrounded by a whole community of people, probably. Like, it's time to collaborate. It's time to collaborate, man. And I think this is tough for many because they find out about the truth of many things and then they instantly feel like this victim mentality and they want to blame all of the so-called nefarious rulers for all of the problems. But in actuality, most of the problems are systemic of the life that you grew up in, which was just generational trauma that's been passed down and passed down and passed down. Now, whether the government or the president or whomever you want to, the king, the parliament, Congress, your prime minister, whoever the fuck you want to point a finger at, whether they did play a role in the way your parents behaved, which then influenced their way of parenting you, and that is what led to the traumatic experiences you had, break the fucking spell then. Stop passing down your shit to someone else. Clean up the shit so no one steps in it. Right? Like if this doesn't resonate with you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm not making you feel better about your lack and your desire to be told that it's just life is a prison. It's a prison planet. It's like, are you sure though? Are you sure? I don't know about that. If you want to believe that, I believe that's what your reality will become though. If you want to be poor, well then life will be poor. If you want to be rich, well then life will be rich. But you need to check in with yourself and ask, what type of rich do I want to be? Do I want to be rich in money and materials, or do I want to be rich in spirit, rich in soul, rich in consciousness? Well, that's up to you. That is your choice. Just like it's another man's choice to believe in the type of God he wants to believe in, you get to believe in who you are. You get to set the terms and conditions to that, regardless of the parents you had or the neighborhood you were born in or the whatever influence that was surrounding you. You're in the fucking Truman Show. You woke up. You found out they're all unpaid actors. Some of them are paid. Some of them are straight up agents. All you had to do was learn how to work with all that energy. Learn how to avoid the agents. That's all. I have never woken up and saw Joe Biden hovering above my bed with a gun pointed at my head, threatening my life. I have never woken up one day and saw Bill Gates hovering above my bed with a syringe in his hand, threatening to jab me. Never. Oh, and by the way, you think all the elite or apex predator are all pedophiles? Just look up your local pedophilia registry in your town and you'll find out that you're living next to a lot of them. They're not elite. Like, I'm sorry to break the fucking paradigm here, but all of this awareness about the elite are like this, or the politicians, or even the shit that's going on with Diddy now, it's all to distract you. It's all to take your prana from you so that you can't use it to serve your purpose anymore. Because once you sucked all the gas out of your gas tank, your car's sitting in idle now and it can't drive. It might not even turn on. That's what being a bot is. When you're a bot, it's just you're like, you have no gas left in the tank because you're just hypnotized by everything. You're hypnotized by school, you're hypnotized by this person's opinion about the outfit that you're wearing, you're hypnotized by what this person said about your next door neighbor last Friday. You're hypnotized by the judgment from all angles. You choose to have that though. You want that. It's like you like that. I think in the Matrix 4, they said that the humans like their red pill, or their blue pill, excuse me. The funny part about all of this, though, is red pill or blue pill, it's all the fucking same. You're the alchemist. You're the alchemist. Yeah, I have heard about this. I'm aware. I listened to this new song once while I was working out this morning, and it's fucking wild. You know, I'm gonna be honest here because everyone and their mother wants to know my opinion about two things. I'm not gonna address the other one because I really don't think it's fair. Because maybe it's a little too close to home. But the thing about Kendrick and this rap beef stuff, I'm not a conflict guy. I didn't know Kendrick was even gonna respond, but I gotta say, I listened to all three of these songs that he came out with them like within 3 days. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I think Kendrick Lamar just ended Drake's career. Like, I think he just daddied him. And if all these allegations are true, which assuming, as we know, those who have more access to the bandwidth of truth than most, you can make some assumptions. In Aubrey, who was a child actor, probably passed around and trafficked as a child, which then gave him access to this role that he got in Hollywood, which then gave him access to this role that he got Drake, which they say is his middle name, but I'm not too sure of that. Draco. Yeah. Anyways, he's an actor, right? And this is a pretty basic analysis here that hurt people hurt people. So if all of these allegations about Drake are true and he's making his son a part of it, then that would be no different than what we've been told about Will Smith, who's allegedly not just a pedophile, but also of his own children. which is a different level of sick. And I'm not trying to get to this like drama festival here, but I knew people were going to ask me about this Kendrick thing because when Mr. Morale came out, I really admired that work of art as a compilation of admission. Like it was really telling that he was no longer going with the flow of what the music industry puppeteering kind of pacifying hypnosis that most of what especially hip hop music has become, sadly. One second, what's the name of this new Kendrick song where it's it like Meet the Grams or something? Let me try to pull up the lyrics to this. This shit's insane. I think you guys could sort of see what's on the screen. Yeah, like it's just too personal. It's too personal. I don't even want to read this because it's just like it's not my vibe. Let me just say that. Like I do think that it serves its purpose in the drama of hip hop, which is the main genre of today. But I didn't expect Kendrick to stoop to this level. I'm just being a real one with y'all. Like I really honor Kendrick's art. I just feel like it's like he's literally trying to end this dude's career. Like on purpose. So this must be super personal. What they got going on behind what we are aware of. I'm just trying to find the part that I think a lot of people are going to bring. Okay, so this line right there, he said he said Hovio. So for those of you that aren't aware, Drake's what is it, label is OVO. And he says this is Kendrick talking about Drake. He said he got sex offenders on Hovio that keep on a monthly allowance. So he's talking about Drake pays these people that are on OVO in his team who are sex offenders, and he's keeping them on payroll, which is fucking weird because that means he's part of that conspiracy by default. Otherwise, if you had a company or you had some sort of partnership with somebody on a business level and you knew that they were a sex offender, wouldn't you maybe not want to be working with them? Like, okay. Anyways, this is all a distraction. Just want to remind you for the millionth time. But again, 1,001,558 billion people have asked me about this, and I knew it was going to come up again. It came up 100 times during today's chat, so I'm just addressing it now and moving on. All right. Anyways, the next line, he says, a child should never be compromised and he keeping his child around them. So I'm going to read through the lyric a little bit faster. He got sex offenders on Hovio that he keep on a monthly allowance. A child should never be compromised and he keeping his child around them. And we got to raise our daughters knowing there's predators like him lurking. Fuck a rap battle. He should die so all these women can live with a purpose. Woo! All right, I'm not going to get too deep into this. Have fun, guys. There's just some lines that are like wild in this. Like this is, whew. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Kendrick Lamar. Why is anyone playing around with him? Maybe we should just one of the best lyrics, if I remember, Kendrick said, I meditate on running logs. I meditate on running logs. What a beast. That's right. Appreciate you. Adam asks, anything planned with Logan soon? I'm not sure. I would love to make something happen. I haven't spoke to Decode Your Reality in a little bit of time. I would love to reconnect with him. I always enjoy having deep conversations and just shooting the shit, but yeah, we've already also done like 100 podcasts. No, for real. I think we've done at least 12 or something, probably more. So there's so much gold in those past podcasts as well. You guys should check those out if you haven't. And I'm sure me and Logan will align when the timing is right. That's the one thing I know, is we always get together exactly when we need to. It's usually very last minute. Like, there's been times where I was like about to go to sleep and Logan calls me out of nowhere and I was free and I answered it. And then we were like, yo, let's do a podcast. And then we just did it. Like, super random. But I've been getting so much on my plate lately with my schedule, and I'm currently working on a really big project right now, this crypto decoding blueprint, and it's about 50% complete. It's a lot of art that I'm working on, guys. Like, it's a very powerful project, and that's taking up a lot of my schedule as well as other things that I do. So yeah, like, it's tough for me to even schedule stuff anymore. I get people that are booking calls to private clients. I'm trying to be everywhere at once, truly. Dak, yeah, that's meet farmers, like, for real. True, for sure. When it comes to the whole thing with what we were talking about earlier with organic and all this stuff, like, just go make friends with farmers, especially if that stuff concerns you. Damien mentions Colombian coffee is some of the there's so many great coffee growing regions. So many. Even Mexico has amazing coffee now. Like, they had their moment where it wasn't really sought out by um specialty cafes or roasteries, but now it is. And there's some amazing high quality coffee coming from Mexico, from Ecuador, from Bolivia, from I mean, especially if you're into African coffees as well, Kenya, Ethiopia, some amazing coffee from Ethiopia for sure. Even, I mean, even more obscure regions are starting to grow. Like, some great coffee to try out if you haven't or would like to have something a little bit different. Tanzanian coffee is also great. But I've been personally more into the South American. Let me see. One moment. Amara. Yeah, Amara, I'm not telling anyone to stop buying the thing that resonates most with you. Like, that's really what I want to remind people of. Like, I know you're making a joke. Like, I'm the same way. you know? When I started learning more about the industry and started meeting farmers and started meeting people that were doing biodynamic stuff, especially even in wine, it's really fascinating if you ever have the opportunity to go meet some winemakers. But I got really into the idea of it all and naturally started asking the difficult questions and the uncomfortable questions. And it led me to this place where I was like, yeah, man, a lot of the time we're blowing our money on shit that ain't even really that good. Like it's not even that much better. Um, but I'm not trying to tell people how to spend their money. Just do your own research, I think is important, and realize what organic is. It's a certification. And you can't just immediately associate it with good or positive. That's a trick. Master your reality. Master your reality. I appreciate your super chat. You said, what's the official Waters Above pickup line for 2024? Oh my god. One of my favorite movies is Kids. I think it's a movie by Lewis Clark. No, Larry Clark. Something Clark. Apologies. But it was written by Harmony Korine, and I'm a big Harmony Korine wouldn't want to say fan, but yeah, I really appreciate Harmony's art a lot. It's probably the like if I had to give one piece of art that absolutely changed me as a human being, it was the movie Gummo by Harmony Korine. That changed my whole life. I started looking at reality in a very different way. I started noticing that it's like the ugly things in the world that are actually beautiful. Like it's all the ugly shit that we avoid that is beautiful. And also that helped a lot with confidence and like self awareness and just art like in general. Like I think a lot of people in this world are told what art to like, or they are told that this art should be appreciated. For instance, like the Mona Lisa, I think is a perfect example. Like everyone just likes it because they're told to like it. And then you go to the Louvre and you walk in the room with the Mona Lisa and no one gives a fuck about any of the other paintings in that room. They're only giving their prana to this one painting. And that's fine. It is an amazing painting. Like I cannot paint that level, so I'm by no means saying that it's not about that, but I think you understand where I'm coming from with this. So, yeah, it's the same thing with movies. Like we're all told that the Titanic is like the best. Everyone is like telling you what is the best, and where are you at with it all? Like, what's my taste? What's my thing? I think seeing Gummo, that movie, absolutely just changed everything for me because it was the first time where I thought, oh, I'm allowed to like whatever the fuck I want. There's something about about that experience of watching that movie that helped me with that. It was very influential in that sense. It's an incredibly uncomfortable movie to watch, by the way. Like most people at screening when the movie first came out, they walked out in like the first 5 minutes. There's like a scene that I'm not even going to tell you about, but like most people just walked out of the theater. Anyways, the reason I bring this all up is because I believe Harmony Korine, the same guy who did Gummo, wrote the movie Kids, which takes place in New York City, and the whole theme of the movie is that this kid has AIDS, and then he like purposefully gives it to another girl, like main character in the movie, and it's fucked up. It's like a super fucked up movie. But one of the scenes in that movie, I'll never forget it. This girl is like coming out of like a bodega, just like a corner store, and this dude is hitting on her, like he's trying to hit on this girl, and he says, I'm pretty sure he's like, yo girl, you like peaches? I just thought it was like the funniest fucking thing ever, and it'll never leave my mind. Yo girl, you like peaches? So that would be my pickup line for 2024, because if you say that, first of all, it's random as fuck. It's not incredibly creepy. It's still pretty like, but it's tied to like a cultural moment. And if this person that you're hitting on, I guess it only really works with a man to a girl. But if you're a girl and you want to try it to a man, that's fucking hilarious too. That's even funnier. But if they know the movie that you're talking about, then oh my god, y- if th- if they know the movie that you're talking about, your chances of that pickup line working are like immediately 110% effective. Because that's how underground that movie would be. This person would like light up and be like, "You know that you know kids," and it would be, yeah. So you're welcome. But again, like finding someone who knows about the movie Kids is like finding another person who knows about Waters Above. If you just walk to somebody in the fucking streets and you were like, "Hey, have you heard of Waters Above? The guy who does the crypto channel with gematria." Everyone would be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" So yeah. Or if you want another good pickup line, if we're gonna play that way, would be some random shit that I say. Welcome to another day in the Matrix. Oh, by the way, for anyone, because I was getting so many requests for this. One second, I'm gonna show you. I was getting so many requests for this. So if you go to watersabove.shop and you go to the apparel tab and you scroll down to men's t-shirts, it's just the first one that shows up, and you scroll down a little more, you're gonna see this right here. And there you go. It has been made. And I appreciate anyone's support. I will be coming out with a new design of merch soon, hopefully before the end of the year. I'm just not going to make stuff unless I'm inspired, unless I actually want to create something dope. Oh, Pass the Coffee said the party started last night in San Diego. Oh, yeah, you guys are having a meetup, right? Waters Above meetup. That's dope. You said we'll have a lunch in a couple hours. More hanging out. Mexican dinner party tonight. Oh shit. Oh shit. Got a pool too? Fuck. Fire pit? Aren't you cool? Yo, shout out to Pass the Coffee. Shout out to Crypto Cake. You guys are legends. They're doing a meetup in San Diego. Drake L. Owen says Jimmy is the GOAT. Yeah, I mean, Jimi Hendrix is an incredible guitar player. Yeah, that's right. Nahuale? I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, but yeah, I agree. 100%. You know, like, I'm gonna just be honest, like, one of the most inspirational parts to my playing style is, like, gospel church guitar players and drummers. Like, some of the best drummers of all time come from this, like, gospel church setting. Same thing with guitar players. Soulful, smooth, sexy, spicy. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, David V, you brought up ring training. That is different, bro. That is different. You need to have some crazy core strength. I bet like any of these sorry, what's the proper term? Excuse me. My mind's blank right now because I never even give any gymnastics. Yeah, anybody who comes from like a gymnastics background who does that kind of stuff. Yeah. Ring training is probably incredible. and also for stability, right? And another big thing that I know the ring training would be very helpful with beyond core strength would be just uh, shoulder mobility. I think is huge because in this day and age, we're all bent over looking at screens and phones. So yeah, I couldn't even imagine how great that would be. So just hanging from the rings, I think, would be something that everyone can include into their routine. Same thing with bar hangs. It's very good for the shoulders. One second. Alexander says, "Whenever you do your southern voice, you kill me. I'm from the south, but have Yankee." Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. So my accents suck, though. You're the only person ever to compliment my accents. I have the worst accents, so I appreciate you. Oh, shout out to everybody loves it. Tiffany said that I shared our podcast in Discord and received an overwhelming amount of support. Yeah, but Tiffany, what did you expect? What did you expect? We're all family here, man. Like, we're vibing. We're vibing. I'm wishing you and your podcast the best. Like, it's beautiful to see more wolves in the community taking action and creating and, reaching out to other people. And it was great. It was great to be able to connect and spend some time shooting the shit. I appreciate you. And yeah, everyone who got that link over in Discord, maybe reshare it again for those that haven't checked it out. Jamrock Jingles, blessings from Jamaica. I appreciate you sending love out to Jamaica. One with nature. What do you have for breakfast? Red juice with beets, strawberry. I just had like a bunch of fruit in it, and then I had some berries, so like grapefruit, or no, not grapefruit. What was I gonna say? Blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, and then a little bit of oatmeal and an acai bowl. So it was mostly fruit. But I broke my fast with this red juice that had some beets in it. It's very nice. I got a very generous super chat from Bob Sia. Bob Sia knows. Appreciate you. Sending you lots of love. You said search for the Holy Grail, which means crater, Latin crater, bowl, which is from Greek crater, especially for mixing wine with water. We appreciate you. The calming node in my Saturn day. Yeah, etymology is the key, isn't it? Like, this is what I teach in my current decoding mastermind course. Like, I teach the word spells, and that's going to be a big part to the upcoming crypto decoding blueprint. Just, there's so much language spells, and it's all being borrowed, and then it could go super deep down to the letters, to the alphabet, the alphabet. And then we get into the gematria or the isopsephy or the numerical coding in the language itself. And that's another layer. So just look at this word bowl. Baal is bull, like cerebellum, but also it has owl in it. The owl, which is going to be tied to Minerva, which is also tied to Britannica, which will also be tied to Alexander the Great, and Mars or Aries, which will eventually be the thing we call Medusa. It's also the thing we call Apollo or Apollyon, and it's going to share all these names and these mythologies. So we have the above bowl and the below bowl, as above, so below. Just like a skull. School. Sheol. Well, this bowl, as above, so below. This is what we're in. Imagine if you pushed a basketball underwater and then half of that was a flat realm. But instead of a basketball being made of rubber, it'd be a basketball made of this crystalline sort of material that I don't think we have access to right now. Or at least if it is available, it is perhaps operating in another dimension that it can't even hold form down below. But that's a whole other that's a deep speculative philosophical conversation to have. But I think, just so people don't think I'm like talking out of my ass right now, just watch these SpaceX launches and you'll see it looks like a bullet being shot underwater. So there's something rejecting this thing from this vessel to truly enter this so-called outer space. It's just getting into one of the first layers of these waters above, which means that this initial layer must be plasma-like. And then it really hits a dome, and then it's not going any further. That's why you see in these videos it just cascades, and then it goes right back down. Eventually. But they're just pulling off an analemma in the sky anyways, and we don't have anything to detect otherwise. They could live stream that shit all day. They could do whatever they want. It's all just make-believe. They get to show you whatever they want to show you. But I appreciate your support. It really means the world to me. What you were pointing out, the idea behind the crater and the bowl. Yeah, that's dope. XRP Slave said, "Hey, Waters, it comes down to common sense, and unfortunately, that's a flower not all of us are born with." That was a very poetic way of saying it. I like that. Marco, much love over to Slovenia. Shadowless, you said, "I just want to say how much I love you and how you've helped me remember who I am." Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm sending lots of love. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your weekend. We're all helping each other remember. I'm just going to go ahead and think that I'll pronounce your name. Is it Nahuale? You sent a super sticker. I appreciate you. Sending lots of love. I hope you're having a beautiful weekend. I didn't see any follow-up question or anything, but I appreciate you. Appreciate the support. Allison, when it comes to food allergies, a lot of this stuff, it's coming back to the gut microbiota. There's some conflict going on there. So, yeah, it's really a lot of the conversation around the gut microbiome is sort of hidden, but it's become quite popular lately. And a lot of the time, it's just some company trying to sell you on some probiotics, some pill. And I mean, it's never going to undo the food choices that you've made, and it's not so simple. There's even been a new Netflix, I believe a Netflix series, maybe one show, I don't remember. I didn't personally watch it, but I got a brief synopsis of it, and it was covering mostly the gut microbiome. And if it's made it to Netflix, then that means it's incredibly popular, right? It's exoteric at this point. And there were some fascinating studies and things that they were doing, which I'm not going to speak against because I didn't watch it myself and I don't really know enough about the context to speak on it, to be fair. But some of you might already be aware that I'm an advocate for dry fasts or eating long periods of time just pure fruit and coconut water to replace all of your regular water, distilled waters only. Just those couple of things mixed with doing getting an exercise routine, also maybe working with some little behavioral changes like your exposure to artificial light, maybe throwing in some sauna, some cold plunge strategically, like don't go overboard. These are little things that you could start implementing. But if you just keep eating like really shitty food, which by the way, Allison, I am not saying you do or anyone here is doing, but once you kind of have a behavior with your food, with your consumption regimen and the way you consume and the taste you have and all of that, if it's more on the acidic side, then you're going to maintenance your acidity. Like you're going to have to break more to that alkaline side, and consider that we're not designed to be eating all day every single day. You must have breaks to give this digestion a full recycle. Also, as you're a female, you have your own hormonal cycle that you're dealing with, which is different from a man. So you could tailor that accordingly as well. There's so many things to bring up. But I think the initial gnosis that I just shared is don't fall for all the quick, easy shit that you'll find being sold to you about the gut microbiota. Like, be cautious. Go with your gut here, literally. It's funny to say. No pun intent. No pun intent. I'm not sure. I'm not sure anymore. It's 3:03 p.m. right now. Who knows? But anyways, jokes aside, yeah, get a little bit into the study of the gut microbiota, but consider getting into the dry fast, the extended fruit fast. But you said you're very allergic to honey mangoes. Why would we be allergic to fruit if it's made for us? Well, the thing is Allison, I'm not aware if you've gotten rounds of antibiotics before. I'm not aware of, have you been given rounds of the V word as a child? That schedule has changed quite a bit from the early 1990s to like 1994, I believe, and then I think even in 86 they increased the schedule, and that also depends on what country you're from. So I just don't know. Like, you could very well be allergic to any particular thing at this point from the way that you've been consuming, or just in general the reaction that you've had to a round of antibiotics, which could very much wipe out a very crucial bacteria that you'd have in the gut. There's so many variables in this. But one other thing, and I appreciate the question, I appreciate your discernment as well, because it seems like you also brought up the why would the insert generic fruit concept be our food if we could also be allergic to it. Well, I totally get that. I understand, but you also got to remember that a lot of these fruits and a lot of the things that we're consuming are also genetically modified. They're just frankenfruit. Like, we shouldn't have bananas that don't have seeds in them. We shouldn't have any fruit that doesn't have a seed in it. You understand? Of course, mangoes are naturally going to have this big pit in them. It's basically a big seed, some fruit around it. But yeah, I think you're well aware enough at the point where you can tell that our system is no longer operating naturally. And these are just a couple of key points that I brought up to get you going on your own research. The Freed M culture said this whole beef seems like yeah, agreed. Yeah, XRP, you brought up this, you don't care about it. It's understandable for sure. Not everyone's thing, but it's an art form, and there's some plenty of beautiful art coming out of artists who are in that particular genre. So be open to it. Be open to all art. Damn, Jai Chef. Uh, by the way, everyone, Jai Chef is one of the kindest, most supportive people in in our community. So when you hear this, then you know something's going on. Shout out to Jai Chef. We love you, bro. Oh my god, Amara. My son approached me last night. Okay, I'm glad we're gonna finish off. We have a little bit more time, but um, this is. I love this string of sentences that Amara writes. She said, "My son approached me last night with Drake and Kendrick's beef. Then he proceeded to play Kendrick's song for me. His career is over." Look at that back to back to back statements. It's perfect. God, I'm not laughing at Drake. Like, it's not. I just want to let people know, like, Drake isn't inspiring. The only thing that he is inspiring is material culture. Like, it's kind of back to the Andrew Tate thing all over again. Like, I'm aware that the guy had some stuff to say, but like, bruh, when the guy that is quote unquote spitting wisdom has women on payroll to just be around him, I don't know, man. Like, if you guys want to support a man that does that, then cool. But I'm not going to fall for this Andrew Tate shit when he has like 30 women on his payroll, just sitting around his house all day, going everywhere with him. Like, you're paying to have this illusion of your lifestyle, and that's cute and all. But if you're gonna be like that, then expect people are gonna catch on to your thing. Is this making sense now? People are gonna catch up to your thing. What do you do? What is your real, who's the real you behind that player character? Behind that Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage type thing? Because that's all this looks like to me. And we'll bring up the Drake and Kendrick thing. It's like, it's just Macho Man and Hulk Hogan. It's the Biden and Trump thing. It's like, what? We're in a really conflicted spot right now because every top conversation is built upon a conflict. I think that's a cool way to end this, by the way. Please, everyone, realize that you don't need to be in pieces. You can be in peace. You could be peaceful, full of peace. That's why I made I'm going to be very clear. I made the thumbnail say what it said because I know this Kendrick and Drake thing is the #1 prana harvesting power plant at this time. So, my truth, I'm not even telling you what to think or what to believe. I could give a fuck. But my truth is I will be full of peace, not in pieces. And you know how you go into pieces? When you start being in conflict with others, in competition with others. Over what? What are your skeletons going to get buried next to each other, and whichever one has more trophies next to the skeleton is the better guy? Is that how it works? Like, what is all of this worth in the spirit realm? Who wins and loses? What's it worth? It's a question we all have to ask. So, like, one thing, if anyone wants to learn more about this, and it's not to take energy from you, it's actually to inspire you into awareness about not getting caught into this like fraudulent influencer culture, which very much Drake is the head honcho of. Like, whipping around the yacht and Turks and Caicos and like all this like just boy shit. He's a man boy. Here's the thing. Go listen to Most Def talk about this Drake situation and he predicted effectively, and I hate to use this word, but it's actually true. I don't know if he intended this, but I think we all need to give a big round of applause to Mos Def for predicting the downfall of Drake in the year of the dragon, Draconis. This is a wrap. And I think what we just watched with Kendrick is very much similar to what happened with Andrew Tate, where during the year of the tiger, we watched the whole Tate thing fizzle up, and then the volcano erupted. And then what happens after the volcano erupts? You guys got to fucking evacuate because there's lava now pooling up around your house. Your house is going to sink into a sinkhole. That's what this all is. So Mos Def said something very powerful. He said the columns are buckling, like the empire is over. Because when all you perpetuate in your message is purchasing designer clothes and buying chains and all this stuff, if that is the only message that you're going to leave the people with, well, then you're not speaking to spirit. You're not speaking the words of soul. You're speaking to people's damaged ego. You're speaking to people's root chakra. Like Drake is daddy root chakra. His whole existence is that. He started as an actor. He will end as an actor. With crocodile tears. And I'm not saying this to dismantle him or to say that Kendrick is better or to say, it's just I want to get people to realize that you need to have a better bullshit detector. And now I have the insight of the experience of the rise and fall of Andrew Tate, and I remember it clearly. When every fucking day somebody was just sucking the knob of Andrew Tate, and it was showing up in my live streams every week too. And I'm like, what is going on here? I thought you guys were spiritually aware. I thought you guys were spiritual people, bro. You're falling for this shit because he's telling men for once the obvious? But is that the only, are we disregarding the picture here? Are we disregarding that a majority of the money he made outside of doing competitive sports was starting a cam girl website? You guys are going to honor and look up to somebody who makes money by trafficking online sex workers? I mean, this would be like elevating the guy or the entity that made OnlyFans on a pedestal of truth. You're going to put the guy who made Pornhub, you're going to take the person who made Pornhub and you're going to put him in the capstone of the pyramid of truth and knowledge and wisdom? Like, wake the fuck up, bro. Wake up. It's time. It's just time to to wipe the crust out, the boogers out of your eyes. You know, it's time to wipe your eyes open. Yawn, you know? It's not, it was, you were comfortable, you were sleeping in your bed, and Waters walked up to you, ripped the blanket off, and you're like, it's cold. And I'm like, oh, it's cold? And then I poured some water on you, and you're like, oh, it's colder. And I'm like, okay, I poured some ice on you, and you're fucking, it's so cold. And then a couple minutes later, you're like, actually, not that bad. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. I hated you for like 5 minutes when I was shivering. But now I'm never going to let this shit happen to me again. I maybe saved you 5 years of falling for another fraudulent fucking actor. A paid actor. Like, I don't get anything out of this, by the way. I don't feel better to make people aware that they've just replaced daddy with another daddy. But someone has to say it. What I feel better in is when people come to me and they say, I heard you say these things, and then I was able to reroute the energy that I once gave that bullshit, that drama. And I was able to stop the pendulum from swinging in front of my eyes. And then I grabbed the pendulum and I threw it in the fucking water, and I put all of that energy into self, into my purpose. That's the beauty of what we're doing here. That's the goal. If there's going to be a goal, that's it. And I know that sounds egoic, but that's the process of healing the ego. You gotta, the guy who is hypnotizing you, you're going to have to stop allowing that. And I'm not telling you to go hypnotize somebody else, because that's the definition of what a cult is. Somebody sitting there thinking that they have the way. Be careful on both ends of both polarities. You don't want to be too hot. You don't want to be too cold. You're too hot, you're sweaty. You're too cold, you're shivering. You get fucking frostbite. And the best way that the elite or the apex predator can control you is by pushing you from hot to cold as often as possible. From pushing you from Biden to Trump, to Biden to Trump, to Biden to over and over, forever. From Zelensky to Putin, Zelensky, Putin, Putin, Zelensky, over and over. See, they want you to pick who's the best. That's another piece to this whole puzzle. They want you to pick Drake lost and Kendrick is the king. They want you to do that. You want to know why? So that you don't think that you're the fucking king. Sorry to say it. So you don't think that your wife is the queen. Oh shit, he said it. He said it. He said that he doesn't think Kendrick is the GOAT. How about you're the greatest? How about your mother and your father and your community and your people are the greatest? Why does it always have to be these? I know. I had to go there though. Because I honor it all for its artistry. But when the wrestling kind of like world wrestling entertainment script gets rolled out, I'm not gonna let that shit fucking get in my way. Ever. I take what I resonate with and I leave the rest. All right, family, I have to wrap this up very, very soon. I got a couple more minutes. I'm gonna move through a couple of these final questions. But I think we're wrapping up on a powerful note. No, I was not. Yes, The Holy Mountain was an incredible movie for me to watch, but I saw it like 10 years after I saw Gummo. But absolutely, not that there's any comparison. I just assume you brought that question up in the time frame that I was talking about that movie. My thoughts on the Kentucky Derby. I think that human beings are sick. That's what I think. I think maybe we should stop ruling over animals. And I would imagine any person who really gets themselves involved with this at a deep level has to be a psychopath. Maybe that's not a popular opinion, but I don't care. You want to know why I don't care? Because it's not people that I'm worried about. It's not people that I'm concerned with. It's not. The judgment of humans is not a priority to me. Never has been. Look into the eyes of a horse, look into the eyes of a cow, look into the eyes of any animal, and you'll see something divine. And if you don't, and you think we should strap saddles on them and beat the shit out of them so they'll run faster, and put a metal bar between their jaw and pull it so it widens their mouth more. Like, I would just, if you want to try this, just take a metal bar, like a long screwdriver, and just put it between your jaw, like between your teeth, and just pull it back to your ears and keep pulling and pulling and pulling and see how that feels. Do it. Have fun. take spurs and just have somebody kick you in the thighs repeatedly. Just over and over again. Oh, and also while that's all going on, there's another group of people who are sitting and you're inside of a Roman Colosseum effectively. And there's people in the stands that are betting money on this tiny little man who's kicking you in the side with spikes while pulling your jaw open with a metal bar. People are betting on that happening to you. Yeah. Sounds like a good old time. Sounds honorable. Sounds human. Sounds like a thing humans do. Biko, I appreciate your super chat. You said, "Hey brother, we had our 2 minutes of silence in the Netherlands to remind us of our freedom after the Second World War. What are your thoughts on these kind of events?" Much love from the Netherlands. Well, first of all, I know that I have a really big community over there in the Netherlands, and a big shout out to Mr. Jansen, who's done his part to organize some meetups, and he's a traveling man, so he's inspiring in that way as well, and seems to be a very unique, strong ego archetype, and that's also something that I value. But it seems to be that there's a lot of Dutch people in the community, and I've heard from them that the Dutch are polarizing. I don't know many personally, so I can't speak on this. I'm just speaking through what I've heard people say about them, right? So the fact that they're my third largest community in my analytics from like looking at YouTube videos views, for instance, is mind blowing to me because it's such a tiny little country. I'm aware they speak English, and that obviously helps since I have an English channel, but massive community over in the Netherlands tuning in to my art. And that's wild because it's like they are thirsty for this information and for these truths, and they're thirsty for this knowledge and this wisdom. But then on the other hand, I've heard the Dutch, who are more illumined, kind of discouraged at the state of the Dutch as in the populace, which I suspect is very similar for every person. Like awake people in America probably feel the same way as NPCs in America, right? So I'm just thinking though, based off of my personal experiences, and that's all I could really say about the Netherlands and the Dutch people. But this ritual of silence and all of this, it's just pride, and it's something to like momentarily bring people together so that they could feel that the new world order isn't like stepping all over them. You know, like I think it's kind of interesting. It's the same sort of stuff that happens with America with 9/11. Like we could all have this moment of silence for this like event, even though we were lied to about how the whole event went down. It was all a sham. But then there's also this side of it where it's like, well, why are we able to get together for this moment, but we can't organize and get together for all the other crazy draconian shit that they're doing to us? It's almost sad, you know what I mean? How we're so quick to organize and have a ritual play out that we'll take part in, to have this like illusion of collaboration, an illusion that we actually care about our country or whatever that means. But then when shit really hits the fan and we need to organize and get together for all the right, like for the bigger picture, we never step up, you know? That's kind of my take on it. I don't know enough about what's going on with the Netherlands and the Dutch, but I feel like I covered some crucial basics there. Candace, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for letting me know that everything is sounding top. Shout out to Flatbush. I'm originally from Prospect Park area, Park Slope. Appreciate you, Mr. Jansen, for gifting these memberships. You're a gem. Paul, Patreon is very simple. You just got to log in and sign up with a basic email address and the password that you create, and that's all. It's basic. It asks for some payment information to sign up for the membership. And then after you go through that process, which is like any other, thing, uh, then you just send me a message over on Patreon and I'll give you access to our Discord. I got a super chat from Claudia saying, wondering if you could talk a bit about when someone doesn't feel safe in their life, no abuse or anything, but tons of money and marriage issues. Claudia, I completely understand where you're coming from because as a female, it's your priority. Well, it's like in your nature to desire safety. So if you're not feeling this and you're this is coming from the partner that you have, when you bring up something like money will just amplify the acidic kind of nature between both of you. Like your chemistry would be imbalanced, therefore acidic, as opposed to alkaline. Money just amplifies everything. So if you have tons of money issues, that's the currency that becomes of most importance, and that could start to degrade the relationship from there. And I completely understand, Sorry, I've been talking for about 2 hours now, and I really gotta wrap this up soon. My voice don't fail me now. Okay, so Claudia, here's the thing. You need to enter a state of awareness that if you're not feeling this way from someone else, that typically you're left with two options. One, you either move on to something that allows you to feel that and to access that, which I would recommend. Or two, which could kind of still help the first option, would be work on realizing that you're protected. And this is a spiritual concept right now, because if your safety is predicated on the partner and the partner's beingness, then that is called you rely on them. And that's gonna eventually, as we mentioned earlier, the columns will buckle. Because as an individual self who is soul, who is connected to all things, you must have this awareness that you are protected in a cosmic sense. So this partner that you have is actually helping you realize how to be that. They're supporting that opportunity for you. By the way, this is not me gaslighting you. This is not me saying that your partner is safe or a good person or a role model in any shape or form. I'm just being a real one and letting you know that when something feels like it's not working or it's off or it's problematic, it's because it's teaching you. There's lessons in that. Now, it breaks my heart when I hear people are breaking up or something going wrong, and they're unable to work it out. But the scripts have set you up for this alignment for a reason. His and your script simultaneously was part of the story. It was scripted. So that's part of the protection in a sense too. It brought you into that experience to test your ego, to see where you're at with it all. And if you have a damaged ego, then you'll let this person walk all over you and control you, and you won't feel safe from that regard because it's like a bird in a bird cage. But on the other side of things, I mean, you got to think about the way maybe you've been treating him. How have you been being? Do you make him feel safe? It's not your prerogative necessarily, but we're all working with each other's energy, and eventually, like, the more divine person prevails from it all. The person who's beyond human prevails. The person who starts to move from their heart rather than just their mind. So, consider some of these things. Again, it's purely the awareness of the chemistry. Is it a relationship or is it an experiment? Are you with them because you have passion, or are you with them because of convenience? Ask yourself that. Adam Arias, I appreciate your super chat. You said, loving our Saturn day here as always. You put Saturn. Damn. I it's that what is it called? That meditation, guided meditation voice. I need to speak like I'm just calm. I'm just chilling. But anyways, shout out to Adam and Sarah. I appreciate you guys, sending you both lots of love, you and your family. All right. I have to move to the next task of the day. It was beautiful to spend 2 hours with y'all. I appreciate every single one of you. And for the 400 or so people that were able to chill with us today, it was amazing. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your Saturn day, and I'll be catching some of you tomorrow on the new Red Pill podcast. I'll be covering all of my investments, so it's going to be a very special podcast. What I'm investing in, part 4 special. Going to be covering about 20 different projects, so this will be one for the books. I'm going to be covering a lot of charts tomorrow, a lot of technical analysis, a lot of lessons in what the last 2.5 months have revealed to us, and then of course projections for what it's likely to be like in the next couple weeks past this new moon into one of the most important full moons that we get during the year of the dragon. So going to be putting a lot of emphasis on that, and also mostly a recap on everything since my last what I'm investing in special. So that'll be available for the mastermind community over on patreon.com/watersabove. I'll catch some of you there tomorrow, and everyone else, wishing you all a beautiful weekend in the Matrix. Much love.